today's video, we're going to learn how to create some beautiful, delicate fabric flowers. I'm going to be teaching you 3 variations of this flower. So to make things a little bit easier and straightforward, I've created some PDF templates of the fabric flowers. So these are all 3 of the variations that I'm going to be showing you in the video. And those downloads are, as usual, available in my Etsy shop or on my website. So to get started, you want to make sure you have a pair of scissors, fabric scissors, a lighter, some marking tool of some sort, a little tea candle or normal candle, thread, pins, and some snippers. For this first flower variation, I'm going to call the lotus. I'm going to be using organza. I love the shimmer here and it's nice and crisp, and since this is not going to have tons of layers, we're focusing more on how this lays and less about the fullness of the flower. So I've cut out my 3 pieces. You see I have a larger piece here, and it just basically gives you the instructions on what needs to be done. I also have my middle piece here, and I'll show you how those go in a second. And then lastly, I have just this smaller petal piece right here. As you can see, you're going to cut these on the fold, and that's very important to focus on the fold for this one. I mean, if you don't cut it on the fold, it just makes it a little bit more tricky. It's a lot easier if you cut it on the fold. Okay, so now I'm going to take out my organza and I'm going to fold it. You'll notice in these videos that the fullness of the flower will be directly correlated to how many folds you do and the thickness of the fabric. So here I'm just doing a couple of folds, as you can see, to get the right amount of pieces. Again, each pattern piece tells you exactly how many pieces you need, which will give you an indication of how many times you need to fold the fabric. I then place this particular piece, and I'm going to do the same thing with all of the pieces on the fold. And either you can take that marker that you have and you can mark that fabric all around, or you can just put a pin in it and cut it all around. It's totally up to you how you wanted to go about it, what you felt the best results we're going to get from it. You can choose either one of those, and you're going to again do that for all of the pieces. So this is what it looks like when you have the pieces cut out. So this is what it looks like folded, and then this is what it looks like when you just open up the piece. It's not going to be perfect. Organza is tricky, but you get the gist of it. Now I'm going to take that lighter and just light my candle here. And this is how we're going to go about sort of like singeing the edges so that it does not fray. And it also is what helps us create the curl effect that you see in a lot of these floral arrangements. The way you get that curled effect determines basically how you use that candle, and the technique is you want to get as close as you possibly can to the flame and the flower without burning it and without burning your hands. And you just want to gently pull away, but also making sure that you're holding in a way that it curls it up. You don't want it to burn or alter the fabric too much. You just want like a soft, gentle curl. And this is what all my pieces look like when I have them together, laid out, all the pieces that I'm going to need to create this lotus flower effect. Then I'm just going to stack them on top of each other, as you can see here. Just stack them gently on top of each other, and as you can see, the flower is beginning to take shape. I'm going to go in and just take a pin and just for placement, just put it in the middle of this flower here. Again, organza is tricky. It's a little slippery, but after a couple of tries, you definitely get it. You want to make sure you space everything out, and then it looks a little something like this. So we have all the pieces here, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when I have actually all of my pieces. So this is the larger piece, the middle piece. What I was working on was that smaller middle piece. Then I just took a needle and thread in the matching color that I chose. You can use any color. Because it's a flower, you can kind of have fun with it. I decided to just go with the lavender color, but again, you can use whatever color you want. Then you go in and you just create a couple of tacks with each piece. So I do them separately to make sure they're secured and in place, and that way if I need to do any adjustments, I don't have to do the whole thing over. Once that's done and I have all my pieces tacked together separately, I go in, place them on top of each other, again put that pin in place so that all the pieces stay together, and then I sew those together. And essentially this is probably the easiest flower to do. It's not that many layers, they stay together, and everything pretty much comes out beautifully on the first try, as long as you focus on being neat and making sure that you're curling those edges around the flame. And this is the result. This is our lotus flower. Okay, the next flower we're going to be creating is the carnation, and for this I'm going to be using a chiffon fabric. I would say the level of difficulty for this one increases a little bit, but we can definitely get it done. Again, these patterns are available in my Etsy shop as well as my website, and here I give you just the 3 patterns. We've got the top pattern, the middle pattern, and the end pattern, and it tells you exactly how many pieces you should cut to achieve this particular design. Again, I folded my pieces to create the amount of petals I need. So you see here how many pieces I folded. You'll get that thickness that you need to get to see how many flowers you're going to be able to get from this particular pattern piece. And you do the same technique for all of them. Again, you can use a marker, or you can use these pins here just to mark all around, or you can use both techniques. So once I've cut, you can also now get what I have here is this handy little awl. I didn't include that in the supply list. If you have it, great. If you don't, it's fine too. Then I just use it to sort of create a very small pinprick just in case I need to know where the center of the flower is. It's pretty helpful. You can use like any sharp object you have, but the awl always works best. Then I go back to my candle setup and just take each piece and gently go and burn the pieces. For this particular piece, a couple of things. One, the fabric is very flimsy, so you want to make sure that you're trying to keep it as upright as possible as you're going around. Also, you want to make sure you're burning in the pattern of the petal, so you don't want to go straight across. You want to make sure you're going in the ripple lines. If not, you're not going to get this curl pattern. It's going to just look like a just round circle that's kind of a little burnt up. So you want to make sure that you're going in and out and following the waves of each one. And these are beautiful and tedious little processes, and it takes quite a bit of time to get all the 10 layers curled, but this is the end result. These pretty beautiful flowers, you can already see them coming to life. So this is what it looks like when we have all of our pieces cut. You can do these in any color you want. I just chose these particular colors for mine. You can go with whatever color variations you want. This is what I chose for mine. Then I just go in, and like I did for the lotus, I go in with the same color thread or whatever color thread you want to use, and I just tack all the layers together. That way, if I need to go back and edit anything, I'm not editing the entire thing as a whole, that I can just pick them apart. And it's just a lot easier to work with. So again, I just go in with my needle and thread, and I tack down all my pieces. So now I'm going to be showing you how to create those center closure pieces for your flower. So we stack them on top of each other, and now I'm going to just go in and take a same color thread and just tack those pieces together. Once those pieces are tacked together, now I'm going to go in, and you can choose whatever color you want. For this one, I'm going to be using yellow, and I'm going to create just an embroidery stitch here to give this nice closure. It's a simple closure, it's pretty, it's nice and easy, and that's one way to close the flower if you choose. Another way to close the flower is to sort of pinch the back together and fold them in half to create a full closure carnation. So you'll see here, I just go in the back to get that look. I just go in the back and I pinch the back together at that center part, and then I create a couple of hand stitch tacks to get it closed. So in the next step, you'll see that I'm just doing that just to show you exactly what that looks like. So what we can do is just fold that in half, kind of like a taco here, and then we just take some secure stitches and secure all the pieces together and close everything out, and making sure we get the fabric through on both sides to create this look here you see, where you can see the flower is completely covered and there's no visible stitch line in the middle. And this is what our carnation looks like all done. Our last tutorial of our fabric flower session will be this petal flower. This one takes significantly longer to get the results, but you're going to be very pleased with the outcome. We have all our pieces here, so it's about 4 pattern pieces, again available on my Etsy shop and both on my website. I'm deciding to use taffeta for this because I just want a stiffer, crisper look. This is a taffeta lining, so it's maybe not as thick as taffeta, so it's, you know, easier to cut, but it still gives you the crispness. And you just see here my pieces. I have the base of my flower and all my petals. Each petal base and base, so you're gonna have one base, and each stack of petals is about 25 petals per size measurement, and that's just to get a full flower. You can go with more. I would not go with less if you wanted a particular desired effect. So again, we light our candle, and then we just go around and just lightly singe everything so it gives us both a curl look, and it also secures the fabric from fraying. If you don't do this step, you're gonna have a lot of fraying, and it's also not gonna create that curl look that we're trying to get. So now we have the base here, and as you can see, I've used that marker to mark each sort of rounding of the flower, and it's just a lot easier to place the flower on the base with this sort of guide here. And then I take a pin, and you could either do one petal at a time, or you can do multiple petals at a time. The outer layer is going to be for your larger petals, and that inner layer is going to be for the medium-sized petals, and then that final inner layer is going to be for the smaller petals. And this is what it looks like when we've curled all the petals, got our base stitched down, and we have everything sort of placed down. It's a beautiful flower, very full, beautiful. Of course you can use more, but I would not use less. So this is just me kind of showing you what it looks like when you are placing those last few petals in there, and then just going in again. Like I said, you can use one pin at a time, or you can just take a couple of together and stack them on top of each other and just pin those down. And then once you have all your pins in place and you're okay with the way that looks, you just go in with a needle and thread, and you secure all those petals down. Okay, now we're going to need a closure for our flower. All I've taken is just a petal. You can do it of any size. In retrospect, I would probably use a larger size petal so that it fills it out better. But I just sort of fold it down like that. Create a couple of pin tacks in there just to secure it, and then I'm going to sew it down onto the middle of the flower. Again, in retrospect, I probably would have used a bigger petal so that it covered a little bit more, but yeah, I go in and just basically secure that by just stitching through all the layers straight through to create that petal look. Once I'm done, I go in and sort of like fluff it out so it creates a bit of a center. If you have a better way of closing yours, I'd be happy to hear in the comments. This is how I chose to close mine. And these are the end results of our petal flower. I thought it came out pretty and gorgeous and full. What did you enjoy most about this project? Do you have any suggestions or anything to add? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, make like a lady.